My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the special edition of the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, the top boys performer of the week in the spring sports. And I'm pleased to have on the baseball side a killing left-handed pitcher, Bo Yaworski, who threw rather a no-hitter, struck out 18, and basically does it all on the bump. Bo, thanks so much for being able to come on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Before we talk about your time on the mound and yourself and the program and such, how's everything with you and your family during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Oh, we're doing good. I think everything's pretty normal. I think like the only thing that's changed is just masks. I think that's it. And my dad actually, he's a teacher, or he was a teacher, and he's not very good with technology. So as soon as everything went to like online learning, he was like, he's been teaching at the same school for like 35 years. So he just said, nah. And he retired last year.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Escape while you're ahead.
Yeah. He's living life right now.
I'm sure he's probably on a hamper somewhere, relaxing, watching the Yankees or whatever team he likes.
Red Sox, the Red Sox.
Are you Red Sox fan? Are you a Red Sox fan too?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm a Yankee fan, so not getting much better. So who's your favorite? I mean, is a pitcher your favorite player, either present or past for the Red Sox?
No, I'd probably say right now, oh, favorite player. Probably Xander right now. Xander Bogarts.
Okay, so on the pitching side, do you have like a favorite, either past or present?
Oh, I love Joe Kelly. He's just guy's a psycho.
Not the guy I thought you'd say like John Lester or something. But Joe Kelly, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, but when I hear Joe Kelly, I think of when he hit Correa and then did that little cry face last year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about whatever. Anywho, so great to be able to have you on, man. I know you've really done a lot with Killingly over the last few years, and obviously this year just feel like it's just icing on the cake for all that you've done. We'll get into that later on, but take me into the early stages of your athletic and your baseball and such. I mean, when you were growing up, was baseball your first love?
Oh yeah, definitely. My dad's like that was his first love too. And like ever since I was a baby, he tells me this story all the time. He would put like a ball in my left hand and I would like he would just like keep doing that and then I would just like lightly toss it or whatever. I'm a baby. So he was making sure that I was gonna be a lefty and me and my brother.
See, and your brother who plays is Hunter, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, he plays at Mitchell, and I've seen him play, a very good player. And you're going to Mitchell, which we'll get on to later on. And congratulations for you to have an opportunity to play at a very, very good school
Thank you.
at Mitchell. And it's funny that you talk about your father doing that. I've joked about that with my girlfriend, who will be my wife one day. Haven't put a ring on it yet, but and I've told her how our future, if we have a son or even a daughter, I said, hey, I'm going to tie the right hand because I'm left-handed. And I pitched all the way through college. And I said, I'm going to tie the right hand behind his or her back, and I'm going to put a baseball in the left hand. And she's like, don't, like, she gets mad. But I'm like, come on, lefties are a hot commodity. There's not a lot of them out there,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, lefties are underrated.
Oh, especially from the mound. I mean, again, we'll get into the pitching side later, but okay, so let's get back on subject. I apologize. I just
No,
get,
it's okay.
talking about lefties and all that, gets me. So you mentioned how your father at a young age. Now, did he envision you being a pitcher, or was it just he wanted you to be left-handed?
I would assume he envisioned me being a pitcher. I think, oh yeah, definitely, because being a lefty, it restricts you from a lot of positions.
Mhm.
So he was definitely like, this guy's gonna pitch. Like I definitely, yeah.
I could see his future now. He's going to have a no-hitter and 18 Ks his senior year. I could see
Yeah,
it now, right?
he envisioned it.
Yeah,
17
right.
and 18.
Now, as far as your brother is concerned, now, did he to have two sons who are both very talented at baseball? I mean, was that something early on that was prominent that you guys had a chance to do something with baseball, or was it something where both you and your brother kind of just you kind of in some ways you kind of grew up together? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think having an older brother to look up to who also like loves baseball as much as I do definitely like pushed me and motivated me to like work really hard. And I think like from a young age, we were both like looking to like go places.
Now, because of him being now he's 3 years older, right? Three.
Three, yeah.
Okay, so with him being older, I'm sure you went to his games and you watched him play. Like, were you, did you ever play, I guess, on the same teams as him when you were growing up?
No, actually we didn't. But I would like at his little league games, I would always like be there watching, and I'd always be like itching to get on the field. I just wanted to get out there so bad. But we actually for the first time played on the same team over the summer for a little bit. Did you hear about that little college league that they ran over the summer that they played at Washington Park?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and I played in that a little bit because
Okay.
sometimes like they would need like an extra guy, so like I would come play for them, and my brother was on the same team, so that was the first time we've ever played together.
Coincidentally enough, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
Mhm.
Now, as far as yourself looking at the stages, now, did you play any other sports or was baseball the one and only true love for you?
I played soccer and basketball up until my sophomore year,
Mhm.
but baseball has always been like the target sport.
But I think it's good that you did. And if anybody wants to disagree and thinks that playing one sport is fine, you know what? Fine. I'm great to have that debate with you. I think playing multiple sports, man, is great. And not, there's a certain time period where, you know what, if you play to your 8, 9, 12, 15, whatever, there's a certain point. But I think being able to play multiple sports, man, helps with your athletic ability because it allows you to drop the baseball, drop the glove, go work on your footwork, your endurance in soccer, you know what I mean? And all the other sports that you play.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. That definitely makes a lot of sense. I do actually regret not playing soccer and basketball for the remainder of high school, but I mean it's whatever. Baseball has always been the focus, so that's all that matters.
Do you think because of you playing multiple sports, because again, what were, I guess what I'm trying to ask is before you, like, I shouldn't even say before you quit playing, but while you were playing the other sports, did you notice anything in your pitching, like, as far as your endurance, your strength, your athletic ability? Did you notice anything changing?
Um, I wouldn't say notice anything changing, but
Hmm.
I definitely use like other sports analogies to like help me out in baseball. Like in the outfield, when I'm coming up on a ground ball trying to throw somebody out, I always think to myself like go up like a layup, like lift my left knee and lead with it to really like fire that ball. And like that's what goes through my head. And like I feel like if I never played basketball, it would have taken me a lot longer to learn like my footwork in the outfield.
See, I think again that goes back to the point of being able to play another sport and have the ability to correlate like anything, any sport you play, you can bring it on to the next one and it really helps.
Mhm.
Now, what brought you to the mound?
I don't. I'm not sure what brought me to the mound. Probably just having that feeling of like this is my game. Like this game goes as I go.
Hmm.
And I think I in little league I was an okay pitcher. I wasn't like the stud pitcher, but I think as I got to be like 15 and 16, I started picking up miles an hour, started like putting the ball where I actually wanted to put it, and it's when you hit your spot, when you hit that catcher's glove right where it's supposed to, it's a great feeling.
Nothing sounds better than the popping of the mitt.
I know.
100%. There's nothing better than that. No matter if you're throwing 50 or throwing 100,
Hmm.
even though 50, the mitts are not really popping, but
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. But you talk about the pitching side as far as kind of what brought you there. And you mentioned the 15, 16 years old. Is that as far, and I don't want to say the peak, but is that when you started to notice your stuff? And you mentioned the velo, but as far as your stuff and the pitchability, getting the feel, did you notice that that stuff was starting to incrementally get better too?
Yeah, definitely. Like before I would when I was like 14, 13, like I was okay. I was pretty good,
Hmm.
but I wasn't like that guy where you go out there and you're like, wow, this kid's pretty good. It was just like you throw me in there to eat innings, you know? But like as I'm getting older, like I'm finally finding like you could say I'm like maturing in pitching. Like I'm understanding where to put the ball. I'm understanding what pitches to throw and what counts and where to put it. And it's that I think just because I've been pitching for so long, I think that's what's like brought me here.
It almost sounds like to me, and I don't know. Do you watch college baseball?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so who's your favorite college baseball team if you have one?
Uh, Florida State was my dream college as a kid.
That's not a bad one to have.
Hmm.
Not a bad one at all. My team, South Carolina. We were good back in 2010, 2011 when we had Bradley and Barnes and all them, Michael Roth and all them. That was a great team. But the reason why I bring up the college side is because the one thing that the college game is and what makes it beautiful is that, and like you mentioned how you weren't that kind of stud, it kind of worked yourself up to get to the point of being at the top of your game. At the college level, they throw you into the wolves, and your freshman year, not every freshman could be Jack Leiter or Kumar Rocker. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A lot of freshmen struggle. Then sophomore year they get better, depending, and then junior year is when they pop. And it sounds like to me that that's kind of what happened with you, where your freshman year, like you said, mop up, eat up innings. Then sophomore year, get a little bit more of an understanding, figure out who you are, and then junior year, pop.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. You hit it right, the nail on the head. Perfect.
Now, as far as your stuff, what are you bringing?
I throw fastball. I throw a two seam.
Okay.
95% of the time, I throw a fastball. Once in a while, I'll throw a four seam, and then I throw a changeup, a curveball, and once in a while, I'll throw a knuckleball in there if I'm having fun.
A knuckle from a left. Okay. Okay. That's just not right. That's especially the way the ball moves from lefties, and then you're throwing a knuckle piece. I mean, come on, dude.
I haven't thrown it in a game yet this year.
Well, hopefully you don't need to because then that means the game's out of hand.
Yeah,
Or if the game's out of hand, you shouldn't even be pitching at that point.
that is a good point.
But okay, so you're bringing that kind of stuff to the mound, and what your first, I guess, your first 2 years with Killingly, were you just mainly four seam, two seam change? I mean, what were you bringing early on in Killingly?
Um, I was bringing the same pitches,
Mm-hmm.
but my curveball definitely didn't have the break and like the spin rate that it has now.
Mm-hmm.
And my changeup is still a work in progress, but I've definitely gotten more of a feel for it in my last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my two seam definitely has more movement than it used to.
Now, how are you throwing your changeup?
I throw it like I don't even know what to call this grip. It's like a W, you could call it, like middle finger, like right through the middle of the ball, and then the two fingers on the side.
So like the Vulcan, almost like Vulcan changeup?
Almost.
Almost like that? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So, and you mentioned now, you said the changeup is starting to come along, correct?
Yeah.
Now, is that a pitch that, and I know pitchers who try to find, I mean, the changeup, it's funny because the changeup is the one pitch that I hear more about than anything that pitchers try to find. Everybody has a curveball, everybody has a slider, everybody's got a fastball. Well, who can throw one? But the changeup is the one piece, man, that I feel like is kind of like that. If you can, it's almost like solving Pandora's box. If you can solve it, all the money goes to you.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. Like changeups, they're definitely. It's like it's so simple because it's like the first off-speed pitch you learn as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just so hard to like master it because it's like they say throw it just like a fastball, but at the end of the day, if you do that, you're gonna be throwing a hard changeup if you throw it the exact same way. You want to make it look like you're throwing it the same way to the batter,
Mm-hmm.
but in reality, like I try to keep my wrist stiff. My brother taught me that you got to like keep your wrist stiff and then just
Mm-hmm.
like kind of guide it to the plate, and it'll be way slower and it'll get that downward tilt action.
Well, I think another thing too with changeups and when they say throw it like your fastball, I think what they mean is, and again, you could disagree if I'm wrong here, but I think what they're trying to say is to have that mentality to throw it like a fastball because if you throw it like a changeup, then it's going to be a meatball lollipop down the middle. You want to keep that same arm speed, but it also, I think you're right though. It depends on what changeup you're throwing. If you have a Vulcan changeup, if you throw it like a fastball, well, it could be shot put 50 foot in front of the catcher. But if you have a circle change where it's going to the opposite side, depending if it's arm side or glove side, then that kind of, because I think the biggest thing is you want to make sure that your changeup is 10 to 15 miles per hour slower than the fastball, because then it makes your fastball look like it's going obviously a lot faster.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. Yeah, you're right. That makes a lot of sense. You always have to keep that arm speed because if you don't, first of all, the batter knows that it's not going to be a fastball because
Mm-hmm.
you're, yeah, you know, but but if you keep that arm speed, it's just I don't know. Changeup is probably the most satisfying pitch to throw correctly. Like when you throw it correctly and you hit that low spot, it just feels awesome.
Now, as you come through on the mound, have you been somebody that's because with baseball now becoming more analytical and the high spin rate, exit velocity, drive line now with the weight of balls and doing all these different things and throwing from like 10 feet, throwing like 120, stuff like that. Are you kind of are you into that? Are you more old school with the long toss and focusing on the legs? Where are you on that?
Yeah, I think I'm more old school. I try not to get caught up in all this number stuff because I feel like at
Confusing.
that point I just start overthinking it.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely just a long toss bands guy. That's it.
I see, and I think there's, I think there's a happy medium. I think there's good with that side, but I also think there's also good with because you got to think about it. I mean, think about from 20. I saw a stat that I think it was up until like 2018 to 2010 or something like that. There had been X amount of Tommy John surgeries. Over one third or one half of them happened between a 10 to 15 year recent period. So that kind of tells me, well, are we teaching pitchers to be throwers and just focus on throwing through a wall rather than kind of having that touch and feel of where to place? Because think about it, Nolan Ryan never got hurt. Bob Gibson, who never got hurt. Randy Johnson. I mean, and I understand that they threw hard, but I felt like they paced themselves. They didn't try to go balls to the wall, 100% every single pitch.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of guys get caught up in velocity, and I think yeah, it's good to like try to get your velocity up, but like that's a dangerous game you're playing because when one thing goes up, another thing can go down. If your velocity picks up, your location's probably not going to be the same it was. So I think just stand on like that steady grind of like slowly building up your velocity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's like that'll maximize your chances of locating the ball correctly. Because I'm like I'm not a guy who throws 90. Like
Mm-hmm.
I probably top out at 82, probably top out.
Mm-hmm.
But like I feel like location matters so much more than velocity in my eyes.
See, and that's something that I think, when I think of high strikeout totals, the first thing on everybody's mind is, oh, how hard does the person throw? How high is the velo? I mean, you and I were talking about a young man from East Catholic in the CCC. He can throw. He tops out in the 90s, going to UConn potentially if he doesn't get drafted high. Which I mean, he's very good. I told you, 31 of his 36 outs he's recorded have been strikeouts. He can bring it, but I think it's intriguing in your case because you had 18 strikeouts. And if you're only topping out at 82, 83, I think more people should be interested in not just the fact that, okay, he doesn't throw hard. I don't care. No, it's interesting because it's like, how did you get to those 18 strikeouts? What did you do to set up the hitters? How are you manipulating the baseball to fool these young men who are batting? Because 82, while good, can still get hit. But if you're throwing, like you said, the curveball, the changeup, the two seam, if you're mixing all that up, it makes it much more intriguing.
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing with my success is just throwing strikes consistently. Like if you're throwing strikes, like good things are gonna happen. Like yeah, they could put the ball in play, but like I have a group of 8 guys behind or 7 guys behind me that I know are gonna get the job done if the ball were to be put in play. So I think my pitching coach has also stressed this a lot to me. My coach Drew is actually my brother. He played with my brother, and he graduated from Mitchell last year. He's
Mm.
just been stressing me, like shoving it down my throat. Just strike one, strike one, strike one, get ahead. And I think that's definitely helped a lot.
Do you think that between your head coach, who I've had on, and Coach Drew, that they have, because I know in having your head coach, we were actually talking about the old school and new school and kind of where he was, and he and I had a great discussion about that. Do you think because of where they are as far as a mindset, it's helped you as a ball player, but also too, it's helped out the team itself?
Oh, definitely. They're young guys, so I think us as players can very easily relate to them. Like I've known Coach Ben since I've been probably 9 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I've known Drew for like the same amount of time. So like I almost grew up with these guys, and I think that definitely helps a lot because they have a very good understanding of the game, and we as players all respect them. So it just everything's flowing nicely. The pieces are being put together, and it's working really well.
And I want to ask you too, because of the performance that you've had and just the ECC itself, between baseball, softball, I mean, all sports. I mean, it's amazing how much talent's there. And I brought this up to your head coach too. Do you feel like that the ECC does not get the same recognition like the FCAC, the CCC? There's other leagues too, because I've noticed that where just thinking about the amount of pitchers that have come through the pipeline of the ECC, and it's like they're doing something. I mean, most recently, Ledyard had what was it, Ken Turner, right? He was drafted by the Rangers. I think it was like 30th round, 29th round. If I apologize, I may be off. He decided not to sign, went to Hartford. Now he's killing it. That's
Mhm.
another product of the ECC. You're going to be one just like your brother in the near future.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the ECC is definitely like an overlooked part of the state. Like I never like when I see like Connecticut sports posts, I never see anything about the ECC. I'm like, what? Like it's just like I think like the ECC like it's a very overlooked part of the state. Like I think there's a lot of like great players that come out of the ECC. Like Montville, like Mitch, a lot probably there's probably 10 Montville guys on the Mitchell team right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, one of them is Jeremy Sagan. He started
Mhm.
out at Central and then
Yep.
transferred to Mitchell. Probably has the best. I've said this to him, and I've said it many times on the air. People probably got sick of it. He has the best glove that I have seen from
Mhm.
an infielder. He
Yeah,
makes he made an error in the game that I broadcasted, and I said, "All right, I think hell just froze." Because he didn't make one in the year plus year because he only played for the Blues for a year. The 1 year I saw him play in the summer, he didn't make one error at home, not one,
yeah, he's very smooth. I was watching him yesterday, and he just makes like every ground ball makes it look like it's nothing. It's crazy.
and he's swinging the bat well,
Yeah, he is.
he's swinging the stick very very well, man. But yeah, to go back to your point about DCC, it just I wonder if it's because when you think of the FCAC, it's like it's almost like when you go to like those big time golf. I can't think of like the Masters. Like, ooh, the Masters. Everyone with their puffy hats and
Yeah,
expensive jackets and cigars. But then you think of the ECC, blue collar. It's not like flashy by any means. No disrespect, but I think it's one of those things where people don't think of it that way. But just because it's not flashy doesn't mean it's not still spectacular, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
And I don't know if I equated that the right way, but again, I really like what I've seen from the CCC just because of the coaches I've had. Like I've had Coach Neal on, who's the football coach, as you know. I've had your head coach on. I've had, I think you're the first player, no, third player actually, because I had two football players on. I had Chris Jacks, and I had one other player who's escaping me. But again, it just goes back to where the kind of like the blue collar, hardworking, and another thing too is you guys respect the games that you play. And I think that trickles down to your parents, the community, and just the fact that everybody seems like they just love what they do, but they do it in a very honorable way.
Yeah, we love we're all loving playing right now. Like our energy is always there, and I think what you said about like the community, like we had over 200 fans at our opening day game, which is for a Killing League game, like that's big, like that's crazy.
Mhm.
It was packed. Like there was people in the stands, there was people on the left field line, there was people along the outfield fence. It was crazy. I love like the whole experience was awesome.
That's awesome, man. Now, looking at this year, now you've been pitching very, very, very well, obviously. How do you keep yourself level headed with all the success that you've had thus far?
Uh, I just I just try to look at it as I'm helping out the team. I'm not like obviously I'm doing it for me, but at the same time I'm doing it to win games. So like it's a team sport, and like I think that's how I kind of like keep myself
Mhm.
just composed and like stay humble. Is just remind myself that it's a team sport, and at the end of the day, like that I'm by no means carrying Killenly baseball right now. Like we have many other guys that are doing their job. Chris Jack's still home today. Like like we it's I just our whole team. I'm in love with this whole team. it's a great group of guys, and we're just gonna. I'm so excited to finish out the year.
You know, man, we'll end it right there. Bo, I really do appreciate you coming on. Congratulations on being the top performer of the week on the boys' side. For baseball, and it's great to be able to have an ECC player, a Killing player, be able to come on and talk about the success. And I think though too, and I know we kind of talked about a couple other things. I think it's great to be able to talk about the community because, like we mentioned, it doesn't get talked about enough. So I think it's our job to also get it out there as well to show people that there's more than just you driving by and seeing some woods. Like there's more to it than that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I agree. Community, I love community. Community is great.
All right, that'll wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So the next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent, and I'm Andre in the Find Them All. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.